All right, welcome to another episode of the Average Pastor Podcast.
He's on right.
Jake's trying to figure out his. Yeah.
I think so.
Have you ever put on headphones before?
Well, the cord's supposed to be on what side?
Yeah,
I think it's right. On the left.
Yeah, cord's on the left side. So yeah, Jake's. All right.
He's a natural.
I think they're on
He's a
backwards.
natural.
They're on backwards.
Yeah, we're recording.
Upside down.
I think that red light means we're recording, so we're on. But yeah, welcome. I'm Mark, and these are my pastor friends, Jeff and Jake, and we're hanging out again for another fun conversation here on the Average Pastor Podcast, and we've got a special guest for next episode, but this one's going to be a little different this episode because I asked you guys to bring some books to share. And here's my problem. Here's my dilemma. I'm in a reading slump and I need your help. And New Year's coming up. So this episode's going to be released, December 22nd, right before Christmas. But, Christmas, New Year's, it's a time to master the restart, to think about what new habits for 2026. And so I'm in a bit of a reading slump. And so I was like, I need your help. And I think that I wonder if a lot of other people are in a reading slump as well, because this is the time of year where you're like, not even just time of year. I feel like the instant gratification of the phone or the electronic device is just always there. And even if it's something good, like, you're listening to Spotify or you're listening to a podcast or maybe, swiping through your Instagram feed or whatever, it's always easier to go to that than read, like go into the work of reading and the thought. And so that's my problem and I need your help. So I asked you guys each of us to bring some books to share. And so 3 books for each, and we can, if you have more than that, we can, but I just wanted us to do that. And so, this was one of those this is like maybe the first ever podcast where I told you what we were going to do.
I know. I almost didn't know what to do with that.
Yeah. So
I feel just as prepared as the other times.
So
well done.
I asked you to bring 1, a Christian classic that has shaped you. 2, this is a random book that you want to share. Is it something you enjoy, maybe recently, or just a book you love? And the third book is, I need a gateway drug kind of book, like something to get me, just an easy book to just get me reading again. And so maybe if there's other people that are looking for something, because like a kind of almost more of like a beach vacation read. So anyway, that's what we're doing this episode, talking about books. So who wants to start?
I didn't bring my books, but my son got me on Goodreads, so I can look up.
Oh yeah, so you can look up your Goodreads.
What constitutes a Christian classic?
That's a great question.
I don't know if it is.
What
but here's the deal. This isn't probably in the full category. I don't know how long the author needs to have been dead before it becomes a classic. But I was asked it. We've laughed about this in the podcast before, but actually, only just a couple of weeks after this episode comes out, I'm going to do a breakout session on dating at the SALT conference. So one of the things I did was I went back and grabbed Elizabeth Elliot's Passion and Purity. Mm-hmm. This came out not long after I became a believer, and it shaped so much of not just my own life, but then how I help others. I've spent most of my adult life ministering to college students and young adults and stuff. And you guys going back through Passion and Purity. Of course, it's a classic. I don't know if it fits, like it's not,
I love this.
So let's just say for a classic, the author has to be dead.
Okay. Well, this is then
great.
Then this works. Anyway, I'm just saying that, like, one of the things that I love is that and this was really freeing for me, for instance, is one of the things she talks about is that you can't regain virginity, but you can regain chastity and purity. And so much gospel hope through this. In other words, you could look at a book like this and think, oh man, is she just going to bring out the whip and just make everybody feel guilty for being immoral? Well, she sets a high standard for what it means to be pure, but there's constantly gospel hope throughout, and then even when she talks about how they did wait, she and Jim, I mean, they knew each other and had, I guess, romantic inclinations toward each other for like 5 years. And at one point they're living a hemisphere away from each other and all that. Anyway, they finally get married. Jim Elliot being her husband that would end up dying not long after their marriage and first child was born at the hands of those that he was seeking to reach. But she talks about, this is so cool. She talks about when they finally got married after all that waiting, finally got married, and they had the little wedding ceremony. They're in Panama, I think, at that point, because they're going to be in Ecuador. And they're at this little diner and they dawdled over their coffee and dessert, savoring the luxurious atmosphere and enjoying the music of a dance band. And Jim looked across the candles at me. I can hardly believe we've got a bed waiting for us, he said. This verse given to us for that day was Isaiah 25:9. Lo, this is our God. We have waited for him. And then this next line, you guys. It was unspeakably worth the wait. And then that ends the chapter. And I just love how, again, she is saying, oh, no, don't minimize the gift of sex. Don't minimize the gift of physical love. But when you wait and do it in God's way, it was unspeakably worth wait. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying this book is definitely a challenge, but is full of just gospel inspiration,
How does she's a voice calling in the wilderness to this generation who's just marred in sexual sin and struggle. I mean, every generation has
exactly,
been, but it's inundated now with instant access to pornography and whatever. What's something that is there anything that's jarring about what you read there that's as or you would want to, you're speaking at the conference. Like what?
To those that think, oh, this would never work today. This thing, are you kidding? Now we got, everything you just mentioned. Well, one time, I think she repeated this when we had her out at Cal State Northridge, that she said, oh, one girl in the Q&A came up and said, oh, Mrs. Elliott, everything you're saying will never work today. It's so Victorian. And she goes, oh, no. It's way older than that. What I'm saying is, yes, there are more ways to stoke immorality as far as like internet pornography and et cetera. But the human condition is not different. This spoke to me and to every generation that's ever been on planet. Go to Zambia today and you're going to find a whole lot of immorality. I'm just saying, don't kind of pride yourself, next generation, that you're experiencing something that no other generation has ever understood. And no, let ancient voices speak. You know what's crazy? The Hebrew word for wisdom, I'd never, or at least one of the key ones that's used often in Proverbs, this chokmah, it has this idea of lifting up. And in secular Hebrew, which there's not a ton of it, most Hebrew is Bible Hebrew, but secular Hebrew, it's used of lifting up in the sense of like, a ship captain that if you get raised up, or a military commander. Here's the idea of it is military commanders, for instance, who have been through a lot of battles, they can see things going on in the battle that young officers can't see yet. They haven't seen all the art of war on the ship. That captain who's been through a lot knows what the wind is going to do. And that's the word for wisdom. What I'm saying is, go back. Don't ask your peers how to overcome some of these things. Go to ancient voices. Go to people who have stood the test of time. Go to, the wisdom that comes to us from those, even on things like sexual immorality, where there are new expressions in this generation. Still, go back to a classic. Go back to Elizabeth Elliot.
Passion and Purity.
I know,
Elizabeth
right?
Elliot.
Okay, sorry.
Go back.
I
No.
probably took way too much time on that, but
that's
rereading.
Jake, have you read that book?
No.
Really? I read it in college, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a classic
Mm-hmm.
and worth reading. I think. Would you say that's a book that you would want every college student to read?
I would. I invited our granddaughter and her boyfriend. They're 15 years old and 16 years old to come to this breakout because it's in Des Moines and they live in. I had her in mind as well. Like I would want Elizabeth Elliot to be that maternal, wise voice speaking into every next generation. I do think. I'm just saying, like, it hit me between the eyes as just I needed a whole new worldview when it came to these matters. Biblical worldview, and to everybody still, obviously there are things that are dated. It was written in the early 80s, but I mean, the wisdom.
You know what's interesting? It used to be so. My wife works in a lot of nursing homes and does training CNAs and things. And observation is, as the older, it's like a new group of older people. Like the older people 20 years ago that she worked with were like more of, probably the even World War II and maybe even a little bit before that generation.
Right.
And now the older people, what she's finding is very few of them. It used to be like a lot of them knew the hymns and had some like wisdom, more just like Christian wisdom and godliness, and met this sweet, old lady, and she's a saint, and like an Elizabeth Elliot type. And now they're not there. Like the older people are more secular. And so just it kind of made me think, just because someone's older doesn't mean it's
no sanctifier of the soul.
But going back to those voices. So man, good grab there.
That's good.
Jake, what do you got?
We're doing classic.
Yeah.
This was, I don't know why it took me a while to get to it, but A Quest for Godliness by Packer. Have you read that?
No.
It's about the Puritans, right?
Yeah. I didn't know much about. And
we'll write this down.
It got slow at times.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a big book.
It's a big book, but just looking at the faith of the Puritans was both a kick in the pants and a motivator of just the high call of the Christian life. So I really enjoyed just better understanding those spiritual giants and their devotion to Christ and in all of life, and especially when you feel trapped in a bubble of just looking at Christianity through your own cultural lenses in this current time period, to go back and see what that looked like in other people's lives.
And they were also fun-loving. They loved life. They were, so lest we get this idea that the Puritans were these stoic.
Yeah. It was like
so
when I went through semantics class at the university, puritanical is like a bad, it's like a slander.
Yeah.
It's a kind of epithet for
I do think
hyper judgmental, angry Bible,
which wasn't the case.
Christian. No, not the case at all.
But Bible people,
devoted
people, and just the seriousness of their faith. And even he highlights some of the pastors of the Puritans, just the challenge as a pastor, what it means to really pastor people and what you're calling people to. And so I really enjoyed that book. It was slow at times, but it was one that I was really glad I read.
So Puritan, they're seeking the pure. What's the pure part of the Puritan? How they got that name and why that was a label? Was that a label that they gave themselves? Like, did they know at the time? Like, yeah, we're the Puritans. Like,
I think that was probably given to trying to. I don't think they grouped up and like, what name ourselves? I think it's examining
Baptist
what's
or-
happening
yeah.
in the Christian movement and culture at the time and putting a label to it.
And so are they the ones that left? So they left, like, was it like Scotland, that
In
type
England,
of
yeah.
in
From
England
the
and
UK, yeah.
from the UK?
The way that made sense to me is, I think you look at, if the Reformation was a doctrinal revival, the Puritan movement was a practical holiness revival. Like, this doctrine means something in our life and how that got lived out.
Wow.
I just looked this up, and it says that the term Puritan originated as a derogatory label from their opponents toward them. So the Church of England called them the Puritans in a derogatory way.
Ooh.
That
Like
checks
almost
out.
like a holier than thou.
Yeah.
Like, you guys think you're
I
so
think that was
pure?
also true of the Methodists on the front end.
Oh.
And then they would end
Yeah.
up adopting it, but
because they had
right?
a
I don't
method
know.
for
Yeah.
their
Yes.
purity.
Yeah.
Hmm.
anyway, yeah.
Yeah,
That
interesting.
some of the, but then often, as happens with those that were kind of assigned to that would just embrace it and be like, totally.
Yeah.
It's like we call like the Jesus freak or something. You're like,
I'll take that.
all right,
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, what are some of the theological distinctives of the Puritans? Like, what's something about that they believed about that kind of marked them? We think about, because today we talk about, oh, I'm reformed in my theology. I'm a Reformed Baptist or whatever. Like,
I don't
some of that comes out of the Puritans. What does that mean, or what were some of the?
Yeah, I mean, there's theological debates happening within the Puritans. So I don't want to be like, all Puritans were kind of in this camp. But I think it was just a movement of the seriousness of taking your faith. Puritans would, they're just kind of the writing of like, I'm going to write a whole book on this verse. Just kind of, I'm going to take this little part of the Bible. One of the things, like, Puritans weren't so much like reading the Bible as much as letting the Bible read them. They would like dwell on a one passage of scripture. And so I think it wasn't a theological, although there was strong theology, but it was more of a practical holiness.
Wouldn't they?
But I'm trying to remember too, because I read your email about the podcast. But I read this, and I got on my Goodreads, and I was like, "What have I read that's really stood out?" And this one was way back. But
so what's the title of the book?
It's A Quest for Godliness: The Puritan Vision of the Christian Life. Would
you recommend that to just your average Christian, or would you say it's more of a pastor ministry book?
I think it's in between there. Like, more people than just pastors need to read that book.
Mhm.
But would I point a newer believer to just jump right into that? Probably not.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, how some historians write more like novels, and it's gripping and it's great even if it's history. And then others, it's a little bit more detailed. And this one is a little bit more, he goes deep into the Puritans. And so when you talk about there are things that are slow in the book or whatever, it's, he's really unpacking and doing an academic job of it. But some of it's incredibly inspirational. And then, there are times you're like, all right, that's a lot of pages.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But there are people that are attracted to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want to dissuade people. It's a phenomenal. I was glad you picked it, but I don't know that everybody would run to it. What's yours, Mark?
I brought a bunch of books.
No, you only get.
I know.
No,
but I'll start with the first one. We'll see how this goes. This is a treasure for me. I've read this book many times, and one of the best parts about this book is right here. It's got in the cover Bill Arendt, and that's my grandpa.
And you haven't said the title of it yet, just so you know. You showed the cover.
I showed the cover.
A lot of people are just listening.
This is called The Pursuit of God by A.W. Tozer. And I'm holding this old.
It's your grandpa's book.
Book.
Remind me after this. I got to tell you something about
because Tozer too is in your like spiritual heritage.
So this was like, I think my grandma knew A.W. Tozer and they had some connection, but he was anyway, he's written, so this is The Pursuit of God. He's written Knowledge of the Holy is another one of his famous books, but my grandpa would quote entire sections of this.
Wow.
And I want to read the preface.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this is like a voice calling in the wilderness to pastors today in the church. So I'm going to read the preface. Here we go. In this hour of all but, can you read the preface? I feel like you would.
Me?
Yeah.
Sure, I can read it.
I feel like I just need Jeff to read it. Yeah, someone else to read it. I just want to hear it. But
I love it. The page is all torn and stuff.
Oh,
I love that.
Yeah,
it's well worn.
This is story time.
What's that? That phrase? People that carry worn out Bibles,
messy Bible, clean life, or messy life, clean Bible,
or something like that.
I've
Yeah,
heard it's like if your Bible's.
People that carry a well-worn Bible are usually people that are not, or something like that. Anyway, this is a well-worn
there we go.
Tozer. Sorry, I took all that time for that. In this hour of all but universal darkness, one cheering gleam appears. Within the fold of conservative Christianity, there is to be found increasing numbers of persons whose religious lives are marked by a growing hunger after God himself. They are eager for spiritual realities and will not be put off with words, nor will they be content with correct interpretations of truth. They are athirst for God, and they will not be satisfied till they have drunk deep at the fountain of living water. This is the only real harbinger of revival which I have been able to detect anywhere on the religious horizon. It may be the cloud the size of a man's hand for which a few saints here and there have been looking. It can result in a resurrection of life for many souls and a recapture of that radiant wonder which should accompany faith in Christ, that wonder which has all but fled the church of God in our day. But this hunger must be recognized by our religious leaders. Current evangelicalism has to change the figure, laid the altar and divided the sacrifice into parts, but now seems satisfied to count the stones and rearrange the pieces with never a care that there is not a sign of fire upon the top of lofty Carmel. But God be thanked that there are a few who care. They are those who, while they love the altar and delight in the sacrifice, are yet unable to recognize themselves to the continued absence of fire. They desire God above all. They are athirst to taste for themselves the piercing sweetness of the love of Christ, about whom all the holy prophets did write and the psalmists did sing. There is today no lack of Bible teachers to set forth correctly the principles of the doctrine of Christ, but too many of these seem satisfied to teach the fundamentals of the faith year after year, strangely unaware that there is in their ministry no manifest presence, nor anything unusual in their personal lives. They minister constantly to believers who feel within their breasts a longing with which their teaching simply does not satisfy. I trust I speak in charity, but the lack in our pulpits is real. Milton's terrible sentence applies to our day as accurately as it did to his. The hungry sheep look up and are not fed. It is a solemn thing, and no small scandal in the kingdom, to see God's children starving while actually seated at the Father's table. The truth of Wesley's words is established before our eyes. Orthodoxy, or right opinion, is at best a very slender part of religion. Though right tempers cannot subsist without right opinions, yet right opinions may subsist without right tempers. There may be a right opinion of God without either love or one right temper toward him. Satan is a proof of this. Thanks to our blended Bible societies and other effective agencies for the dissemination of the word, there are today many millions of people who hold right opinions, probably more than ever before in the history of the church. Yet I wonder if there was ever a time when true spiritual worship was at a lower ebb. To great sections of the church, the art of worship has been lost entirely, and in its place has come that strange and foreign thing called the program. This word has been borrowed from the stage and applied with sad wisdom to the type of public service which now passes for worship among us. Sound Bible exposition is an imperative must in the Church of the Living God. Without it, no church can be a New Testament church in any strict meaning of that term. But exposition may be carried on in such a way as to leave the hearer devoid of any true spiritual nourishment whatever. For it is not mere words that nourish the soul, but God himself. And until the hearers find God in personal experience, they are not the better for having heard the truth. The Bible is not an end in itself, but a means to bring men to an intimate and satisfying knowledge of God, that they may enter into him, that they may delight in his presence, may taste and know the inner sweetness of the very God himself in the core and center of their hearts. This book is a modest attempt to aid God's hungry children so to find him. Nothing here is new except in the sense that it is a discovery which my own heart has made of spiritual realities, most delightful and wonderful to me. Others before me have gone much farther into these holy mysteries than I have done. But if my fire is not large, yet it is real, and there may be those who can light their candles as it flames. June 16th, 1948, A.W. Tozer. Wow, man. That's an invitation to a book, right?
What sticks out to you from that? I mean, it's just he's looking at, you can have right opinions about God,
even right doctrine.
You can have great doctrine. You can go through the motions of worship and have a program. He talks about the program, but like, where's the fire? Where's the hunger? Where's the passion?
Counting the stones on the altar instead of looking for the flame. Like
that.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just what, so I read this for the first time, maybe as a 16-year-old, and I read it just over and over again. And I, I just I just feel like he says this is one, it says, the continuous and unembarrassed interchange of love and thought between God and the soul of the redeemed man is the throbbing heart of New Testament religion.
Wow.
Just that his passion to for people to know the Lord and to hunger and thirst for him, and anywhere. It's just this was kind of my first in the early days of my faith, listening to Keith Green and reading A.W. Tozer, and just like classic. It's just made me want to not ever lose my love and passion. And it can be, do you ever get caught up and you can go through the motions of ministry and sermon prep and, doing ministry that sometimes you lose just the passion, and ministry turns into a strategy and a program of some kind. And you can lose the Holy Spirit empowered fire. Do you ever, I don't know, that's one that I was, as I was reflecting on this, books that have shaped me, classics, that was one.
At the risk of going down a tributary, I'll try to pull back up again, but this is why also pastors who use AI for sermon prep, you really, there's no shortcut to letting the Holy Spirit in.
You don't walk in the pulpit
fire
with your own angst.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's exactly.
Yeah.
Like truths that the Spirit has both opened your eyes to discover, lit a fire within you that then causes you to want to tell others what you have just discovered by God's.
Yeah.
You can't, there's no shortcut to that, right? Like to have that, whether it's just reading a sermon off the shelf or having AI write it for you or whatever. I'm just saying that stuff right there, that's the church needs God's pastors too.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful one, Mark. Well
it's
done.
Just the way I feel baited into this as a pastor is solving spiritual problems with human solutions. That we can talk about. Oh man, I heard recently there was a church leader that was talking about, man, our it's basically like we have found the model, we have found the strategy, and once people understand, what we have, they're going to be. It's almost like it's going to be added onto the New Testament. It wasn't said that strong, but it's like they're going to be like this model. This is the way to do church planning, and I was just thinking like, oh, it just sent shivers up my spine. Like, what?
Yeah.
It's like,
where's the fresh flame of the Spirit in that?
Because you start hearing things like this was a quote from one of the speakers at this conference was, your annual calendar is your most important macro system as a pastor. You need to learn, like the secret of ministry is you need to learn how to set up these he called them momentum dominoes every 4 to 8 weeks to seize momentum as a church to get to your next domino.
I've enjoyed, you're talking about books that have shaped us. I just kind of looked on Goodreads in the past year, but wanting to read, which Tozer's like Christians that aren't in our cultural moment, the simplicity of church, preach the word, care about holiness, pastor people. It's void of all these like strategies. It's just the simple, faithful, powerful gospel. And it's so refreshing. But it's also, they don't talk about strategies and calendar, but even in that Puritan book, they'll say things where it's like, oh, I can't believe you said that. It's like,
what do you mean?
Just the way that we challenge people.
Yeah. They're very provocative.
Yeah. Very, there wasn't any kind of, there doesn't seem to be any kind of fear or temptation about, I don't want to lose anybody.
Right.
I don't want to offend anybody. We got to grow. Like that just is so foreign. It's just saying true hard things and holding the line.
You're really concerned. They seem to be more concerned about spiritual growth than numerical growth.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was refreshing. What's your next one?
Yeah. Okay. So should we go to the beach read to go?
The beach read?
We can, yeah. We can go to, yeah. This if somebody, so the context for this question was somebody who's just struggling with reading and they need a gateway drug to get them back into reading.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'll sneak too quickly because for the really easy read that has just become really endearing to me, it's James Harriet's All Creatures Great and Small. It is, I've talked about it before, but so he's written a series of these, or did, but it's this young veterinarian in the 1930s, Scottish guy, goes down into England out in a rural area. And as he's describing like pulling this calf in the middle of the night or whatever, the language is so beautiful and so descriptive. It is so warming to the soul and easy to read. So I'm just saying, if there's somebody out there that's like, I just want to kind of learn to read again, learn to love to read again. You know what I mean? It's simple. It's beautiful, short chapters. There's a series of them. If he catches you, if you want to listen to the books, there's several different versions of it with Scottish.
Yeah.
Narrators.
I love the PBS show.
The PBS show is amazing. It's kind of like Lord of the Rings for me. That which you like better, the books or the movies? I'm like, they're two beautiful things. Like the PBS series is amazing. I think it's very different than the books, but equally beautiful.
So it's a wholesome. It's so a wholesome read. Yeah. It like if I'm thinking of,
but don't think by that uninteresting or unengaging. Like it is. You get pulled into the drama of these people and even these animals. All Creatures are Great and Small. Like he is fascinated with animals, and so you get drawn into. Anyway,
it's just so just as I'm listening to you, it's hard for me to think that I would enjoy that book.
Well, okay, to be fair, I have a hard time sleeping often at night. So I will often listen to it. I'll put, and it is so soothing and beautiful So that's what I'm saying, a beach read. If you want something that you can set it down, pick it back up, because my other one is way on the other end of the spectrum is Anna Karenina, which I almost feel like I'm stealing from James right now, because isn't that your favorite? Is that your favorite novel of all times? Or one of?
I think so. Yeah, it's up there.
Okay. I didn't mean to put words in your mouth, but I knew
I love that book.
But, the Russian novels are huge, many characters. The characters have many names. So they're not an easy read, but I only read it because James and Audrey, when they had Levin, gave him the name Levin. And Levin is like the quintessential character out of Russian literature and is found in this book. And so I'm like, well, man, if I'm going to have a grandson named Levin, I should figure out why that came to them. So I'm just saying, like, if you want an actual kind of more deep, more pull you into a whole world kind of book, I would recommend Anna Karenina.
So this is more
these
of
are
a,
two.
Okay, so this is not Anna Karenina is not your beach read. It's not your.
If you're a good reader already, I'm saying I think you would get pulled in, and pretty soon the heft of that book, the number of pages in that book, would be forgotten because you really are captivated by this story. There's a reason it's still one of the most read novels.
Yeah, it's worth the effort. There's a good audiobook version of it too that I think Maggie Gyllenhaal
does it. And she's fantastic because there's different French phrases and stuff, and she nails the French and all that. So if you want to listen to it, it's also a good way to take it.
I tried to listen to it a couple years ago. I think it's similar to the coffee thing. Like this is to me, Anna Karenina is to literature what coffee is to life.
You have to learn to like it.
You have to, I know that I would like it. Like it's just like Mark Twain said, a classic is a book that everyone wants to have read, but no one wants to read. And so I feel like that's one I want to have read. I know that I would like it, and this is a good. That's what I needed.
It's like those East of Edens. It's like those other classic novels that, I think we get too afraid of them though at times, or whether the size of them or we know that they're literary masterpieces that scares us away, and then you start reading it and you're like, oh, holy cow! There's so much to compel me to keep. But this will be a buffet table. The rest of you guys. So Jake, what's your?
Wait. I want to before we move on. I'm typing that in. Anna Karenina. James, do you have a quick promo for that book? Give me one last push to get back into it, to re-pick up on the.
Yeah, my take on it is, yes, it's written in the 19th century. It feels very modern. Tolstoy has a way of putting you inside somebody's head in a way that you're like, oh yeah, I've totally felt that way. I can absolutely identify with that. You really care about the characters and their interactions. And the character Levin in that story.
Even the spiritual journey of it all, which is
it's very
Tolstoy's
deep.
It's reflective of his own spiritual journey as well. Anyway.
And there are sections of it that are certainly more dry that, when I reread, I'll kind of skim this part. But
you started saying even that character Levin.
Yes, Levin. I just love that character. He's just so honest and vulnerable. The book, he's not the title character of the book. Anna Karenina is. She's the one who, has this affair. But Levin is kind of the heart and soul of the book. And it's so much about his inner struggle with who am I going to be? How am I going to interact with the world around me? Think through even spiritual things. He has a conversion story in the end, and cool. I just love the book. Would highly recommend it, but I also realize not for everybody.
Totally.
Yeah. Totally. It may not be the thing that's going to pull you out of your Instagram addiction,
right?
But I'll get there. I'll get there. Jake, what's your second book you want to share? Or this is your beach read. Yep.
I'm not a big beach reader type of guy. That's
no.
Doesn't have to be a beach.
Do you mean because my thing is you read a lot of books that are helpful and practical. Are you saying I'm not someone who reads just a lot of fluffy?
I wouldn't call them. I don't read a lot of fiction.
Right.
So that's what I think of in beach reads. The last actual beach read that I read and just enjoyed, and if somebody's like, I just want to get into reading again, the Chronicles of Narnia.
Yeah.
I just loved those books. I actually finished them on a beach. So
nice.
That is literally my beach read. And it was so cool. I'm crying, leading the last battle by the ocean. It was really cool. So that one, there's a book. I can't remember the title of it. It's driving me nuts, but I love the Boundary Waters. And I found this book that is, I think they're Methodist missionaries up in that area, like back in the day. And it's just their adventures of like trying to get to different remote villages and share the gospel and their hardships. And like reading those stories of the up north was really cool.
But we don't know the name of the book.
I can't.
I mean, those count. When we talk about beach read, it could be a biography. It doesn't have to be fiction. When you say, "Well, I don't read fiction very much," well, no, it's just something that is captivating. Just is fun. On a vacation, not because you should, because it'd be good for you or your job, but just you delight in reading.
Yeah. So those two, I wish I remember that title because that was fun hearing those.
Yeah.
Like a missionary stories, adventures. The one that I've read lately that was captivating was Broken Bread, How to Stop Using Food and Fear to Fill Spiritual Hunger.
Whoa.
And it just grabbed me because I think she addresses so many issues that's going on in the church. I mean, I got punched in the gut, but it also kind of presses into a culture that's, obsessed with food in different ways, whether it's like food snobbery or food gluttony. And
wow,
it was just I thought she hit a cultural moment, especially within Christian cultures, of just the divisiveness of food.
Wow. Food and fear? Is that what the subtitle is?
It's Broken Bread, How to Stop Using Food and Fear to Fill Spiritual Hunger.
Wow.
How do people use fear with food? Like talking about, this is going to cause cancer. Or this is going to, she get into that?
There's like almost justification through health. Like I can try to control where food gets in the way of community. Like even now somebody has a baby and the church wants to bring them meals. It's so hard to do because it's like, I don't even know what you can eat, do eat, don't eat.
Yeah.
And the way we hold on to some of our food convictions at even a level that's higher than our relational things, where what happened to the day of, hey, eat what's put in front of you. They slaved to cook something for you. Like they worked for this. And it's like, no, I don't eat that. And
wow.
Jake, how do you weren't here for this conversation we had on James. You're going to have to help me on this one. We had this whole conversation about food at our staff meeting on Monday, and Dalton, he loves food almost in the way the French love food. Like it's a cuisine that brings people together, and there's something like that food we consume food like cattle. It's just like thrown into a trough, and it's just like
utilitarian.
Yes, it's utilitarian. Where other cultures eat it more for, it's like the experience. It's about the people and the experience. So the meal will go on for longer. People will chew their food, and it's not like
truly enjoy it.
Like our fork is like a shovel, and theirs is more like, it's. So we were talking about this, like, and how in Isaiah 25 the Lord will provide a banquet of the richest of the finest wines and the fat, fat portions and the choicest of meats, and it was, I mean, you never know where our staff meetings are going to go, but it went there. So I'm curious about how that book would interact with that. And James, am I capturing? Or I'll let Jake.
Yeah, that was.
I think one of the things I liked about this book is there's a chapter that's going to convict everybody. Like their food is such a we have an unhealthy relationship with food, and it may express itself in different ways. And she's calling some things out, even a level of snobbery of, I can't believe you eat that. You put that in your body. Like, and like Jim Gaffigan, the comedian, is like, everybody hates McDonald's and they sell 1 billion burgers. Like, but this kind of like, there's a higher level of righteousness if you eat organic or if you do this, and how that impacts community. Yeah. It's not like you can't have your own food, but it's like, how do you carry those food convictions into community? And when people have you over, and how does that affect the body?
We had this hilarious thing because at a meal, I'll just say at our Thanksgiving meal, we had I just love the one of my favorite dishes. It's got like the Jello, the red Jello, and then the cream cheese and the pretzel.
Oh, dude,
the sweet
that?
pretzel. It's every Thanksgiving. It's like my favorite thing. It's so I love it. It's so good. And then but the apology of the person who kicked it was like, I didn't set up this year because I used the organic Jello, and so it didn't settle. And it was like Kool-Aid on top. But she's like, but at least there's no artificial colors in there, and whatever. And it was still great. It was still like a funny thing. But that whole like, we're like, and she even said like, next year we'll just use the regular, like the bad stuff.
Yeah, we've been laughing at how my mom at 99. I mean, we grew up with white Wonder Bread and canned vegetable, and chicken noodle soup out of the can. I mean, like every bad
right.
And she's 99.
But it's interesting, even in the New Testament, how much church conflict was around food.
Right.
And we have the same issues today of
that's insightful.
Different convictions. So I would recommend the book, Broken Bread.
Wow. A couple beach reads, my literal beach read. This is a precious memory from 2011, going way back. It was one of the first like beach reads I've ever, because we just never vacationed really. And it was just through a hard time in our life, marriage, all that. We went to sit on the beach over at Sanibel, Florida. And my wife and I, Letha and I would just get up in the morning. We'd walk to the beach, sit on beach chairs and just sit in the sun. And it was just one of the most healing things for us. And but somebody had given me Unbroken by Laura Hillenbrand, the story of Louis Zamperini and it's a survival story. But it's a great one to just biography. One that's a little more even like cotton candy entry level to get you out of, and I don't know, you kind of wonder, should I recommend this on this Average Pastor podcast? Because it's not like this would be like recommending a pretty strong, like I don't think it would get an R rating, but it's maybe in the PG-13. So if there's any, use some discernment on this, but Where the Crawdads Sing. That book is just like, wow. Dude, come on, you've read it?
Yeah.
It's so well written.
Oh my word.
And ends like even to the last paragraph, like murder mystery. Where's this going?
Oh,
it's like, it would just be a good book if you're just wanting to like start reading again, something to pull you out of a gateway drug kind of book to get you out of Instagram world. So I don't know. Again, that wouldn't be something I would want my 13-year-old daughter reading.
Right.
So how do you feel about that book recommendation, James?
I haven't read it. I was curious to hear what Jeff thought about it. Like, is that
there's just a couple
same what Mark's saying. Yeah.
Parts that I don't. Yeah, just
there's
a couple
some explicit parts for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Maybe
it's part of the story. You know what I mean? That I'm saying. You go into it. Yeah, this wouldn't be a full-throated endorsement of a book because there would be some offensive things in it. But with Mark, I also found it really captivating in the storyline, and
Jake,
Great author. Sorry.
Have you read it or heard of it or?
That'd be one of those too. Like
he hasn't heard of Dark Chocolate.
That'd be one of those that it got turned into a movie, and I don't know that. I haven't seen the movie. Like I'm just wondering what Hollywood would do with that kind of a storyline. So I'm just saying that's why there's some caution appropriately that Mark's putting on it. Like I don't know what either your mind or what Hollywood would do with that because you could take it.
Yeah. But this is the Average Pastor podcast. So sometimes books like that get recommended.
And sometimes I do want to say this as what would we call this? A retraction. Your Spotify Wrapped, Sabrina Carpenter showing up on there. We looked afterwards. That was not Mark's top song. It was in the running, let's say that. But the Bon Iver song was actually your top song.
Done.
Anybody who was freaking out about that.
Yeah.
So it's fine. You've been redeemed.
I'm fine. Sabrina Carpenter was not my number one song.
Let the record show.
Fine.
Thanks for that, James. I feel vindicated there. So
wait, what was the third category of books?
Oh yeah, there's another book. I asked you to bring another book that's just it's kind of just another book that you love. Doesn't have to be a class. Maybe it's something you read recently. Maybe it's something that just you've enjoyed. So share another book with us. I'll start just because I think I so wanted to read this section to you. But yeah, I'll pick this one. This is Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. And this chapter, the chapter called Hope from Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis, this might be my favorite thing, like favorite little chapter of anything outside the Bible. This just gets me so...
We assign that to VST. It's so beautiful.
This is the last, I'll read the last section. He's talking about hope. And this is the Christian way. The Christian says, creatures are not born with desires unless satisfaction for those desires exists. A baby feels hunger. Well, there's such a thing as food. A duckling wants to swim. Well, there's such a thing as water. Men feel sexual desire. Well, there's such a thing as sex. If I find in myself a desire which no experience in this world can satisfy, the most probable explanation is that I was made for another world. If none of my earthly pleasures satisfy it, that does not prove that the universe is a fraud. Probably earthly pleasures were never meant to satisfy it, but only to arouse it, to suggest the real thing. If that is so, I must take care on the one hand, never to despise or be unthankful for these earthly blessings, and on the other, never to mistake them for the something else of which they are only a kind of copy or echo or mirage. I must keep alive in myself the desire for my true country, which I shall not find till after death. I must never let it get snowed under or turned aside. I must make it the main object of life to press on to that other country and to help others to do the same. There is no need to be worried about facetious people who try to make the Christian hope of heaven ridiculous by saying they do not want to spend eternity playing harps. The answer to such people is that if they cannot understand books written for grown-ups, they should not talk about them. All the scriptural imagery, harps, crowns, gold, etc., is, of course, a merely symbolical attempt to express the inexpressible. Musical instruments are mentioned because for many people, not all, music is the thing known in the present life which most strongly suggests ecstasy and infinity. Crowns are mentioned to suggest the fact that those who are united with God in eternity share his splendor and power and joy. Gold is mentioned to suggest the timelessness of heaven. Gold does not rust, and the preciousness of it. People who take these symbols literally might as well think that when Christ told us to be like doves, he meant that we were to lay eggs. Just that that is a great argument for the existence of God, the argument from desire that that you have these desires and there's a corresponding satisfaction for those desires. So when you find in yourself desires that nothing in the world can satisfy, your conclusion should be, I was made for another world. Like you don't desire things that don't exist. Like you don't desire to eat rocks, you desire to eat food, and food exists. And so I was thinking about this in the last episode, where sometimes the darkness leads us to hunger and thirst for more. And so that's this Mere Christianity is it's one that I'll go back and probably reread this every few years. Just enjoy it. So
that's good.
Yeah. Do you guys have any other books to share?
It won't shock anybody that knows me well. The two on this list would be The Discipline of Grace by Jerry Bridges, just because I think just existentially, it shaped me so much. Both a very disciplined man, but a man that leaned into grace. So Jerry Bridges' Discipline of Grace just continues to be one that I go back to and offer to other people. And then The Wonderful Works of God by Bavinck. I mean, Bavinck is both an incredible scholar, spent his whole life as an academic and teaching and seminary, and just brilliant and incredible Reformed theologian. But right before he passed away, he wrote The Wonderful Works of God, because what he wanted to do is take all that a little bit more academic approach and make it accessible to the average reader. And so it's beautiful. It's beautiful in the way that it's written. It's still in deep theology, but is exquisite. So Wonderful Works of God by Bavinck.
Wonderful Works of God. If you hear noise in the background, that's we got a special guest for our next episode that just arrived. We'll get to that in a little bit.
He's in the bullpen right now.
Yeah, that's right. Warming up in the bullpen. So,
Jake, you got one? What's yours?
Yeah, I mean, it's always like, what have I read lately? When I'm trying to think back, like as you guys have talked, it's like, it's this book, and ones that have been more influential in my life than later. But lately, in this past 6 months, I read a book, A Heart Aflame for God, that was really impactful. That was
A Heart Aflame. Who's that?
A Heart Aflame for God, a reformed approach to spiritual formation. So really,
who's that? Is that?
It is Matthew Benham.
Oh.
Looking at, I think sometimes the reformers kind of get thrown in this bucket of like, you're just so doctrine. And it's really like, no, the rich tradition of spiritual formation from the Reformed tradition. And I think it's important in our cultural moment, because I don't think he named name. I don't think. But especially people that are really into like John Mark Comer or some of like, this was more like time out. Let's get a better education on some things on spiritual formation. And it was a really good book. I enjoyed that one. And then cultural sanctification. I don't know if I brought that up on the podcast before, but how the early church influenced culture. That one really worked me up in a good way. Of you have in the how did you remember when I think all three of it, we read The Patient Ferment in the early church.
Right,
it's like, so this one was similar, where this question of like, all right, Christianity is a minority persecuted group. How did they have so much cultural influence? Like what did they do in that early church to really impact a culture? And it was very much the opposite of what I think a lot of church strategies are today. In fact, comparing it to the pagan temples had a very big front door. All are welcome. Come in, and just that type of attractional type. But he argued that the early church had a very tiny front door. Like, you may not get in. You're on a 2-year apprenticeship before we'll even baptize you. Like, are you legit or not? But those who made it in, they were legit. They were strong. faithful. There was a purity to the Christian movement that you just had a lot of potency in the culture, and the impact that it was like a gradual, strong build, that it was legit and it made a difference rather than fast, big, wishy-washy, and just the high calling of not, we just want you here. It's, we want you to be real in your faith. And the impact that made on society was really
Do you think the front door is too big?
Yep.
In our churches now?
Yeah.
Really? What do you do about it? I mean, because there's that.
I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. Like, if you look at the last, I don't know if we were going to get to it in your email you talked about. So the last several books I read was Maturity by Sinclair Ferguson, The Pursuit of Christian Maturity by Tozer, Devotion to God, Blueprints for Sanctification was Ferguson, and then From Here to Maturity, like leaving the juvenilization of Christianity. So I'm trying to, like, what is, we put it in our mission statement, like we weren't trying to raise up mature disciples. What do we mean by that? What does it mean to be maturity? Should we do a better job of clarifying that and giving people something to pursue, calling people to that? And I think, even when Paul talks about that we're trying to labor, or we're laboring to present everyone mature in Christ, that if you're like, what we as leaders present to God is, hey, here's Veritas, it's not necessarily, here's 2,000 people, but it's, are they mature in Christ? And I'm just wrestling with, like, what does that mean?
What do you think it means? What is spiritual maturity?
Well, any answer is, that's what I'm saying. I'm wrestling with it. I think there's a level of doctrinal competency. I think there's a level of moral obedience. I think there's a level of missional zeal. Paul's warning in Ephesians 4 about, we're trying to get to the mature manhood. He contrasts that with, don't be like a child who's tossed to and fro by every wind and wave of doctrine. I think you have a lot of Christians that don't think biblically or critically, and they're just bite every new podcast or book and follow whatever the latest trend is, because they're not grounded. Did you guys see the recent State of Theology survey that came out? I mean, the number of people that claim to be evangelical Christians that don't embrace basic doctrine is astounding.
Is that the Ligonier?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've done that.
Yeah. So
would you say,
that's just what I'm wrestling with right now. Like, what does that look like? What does it look like for us to be faithful, to try to present everyone mature in Christ? What does it mean to be mature? What are we,
you hit almost every, I'm just finished 1 John today, and he hit almost every, the doctrinal test. Do you believe Jesus came in the flesh? The moral test. Do you love your brothers? The obedience test. This is love for God, that we obey his commands. His commands are not burdensome. And I think you hit, the zeal for the mission is,
but are we giving our people a clarity of what that is and kind of a movement towards that?
So my question then is how because I look at the front door and I'm like, we build these big, hey, we're going to this fall open the doors to a, 1,600 seat auditorium, and you're trying to do service, 3 services and making room for people. And it's a huge front door, but the front door is to come hear the gospel. It's like,
I don't mean front door in our situation of, yes, come to church. We want everybody to come hear the gospel, like welcoming, invite. Yes. But like, when at the moment where you say, I'm a follower of Jesus, I'm a member of this church. All right, what does that mean? And do we hold you to that, or do we foster lukewarmness in our church? Like we've talked before with that Spurgeon book was really impactful to me. Spurgeon, the pastor, they'd practice church discipline every month, and the leading cause of excommunication was lack of attendance. And that wasn't that long ago. And do we hold people to?
Well, and it was a large church. It was a mega church. It was larger than our churches.
One practical thing is, as a, leading small groups. This is one of my challenges is who to kick off the text thread. That's like every week. Hey, we're having group this week, and you look and there's like people on the text thread that haven't come in months, and you can feel like it's like church discipline to remove someone from the group. And like, how do you?
I've just found
we're afraid to
in parenting or sports. Anytime you lower the bar, it doesn't go well, and it could be filled with good motives. I just want to get people out. I just want to get whatever it may be. But anytime you raise the bar, it's better. And I think the church has suffered a long time of lowering the bar to just get as many people over it as possible. How do we just get you to cross the line of faith? And it's like, then you're just going to have a church of full people that just are just over the line. It's we've lowered a bar, and I think we're reaping the consequences. And what does it look like for the church to raise the bar? And when you look at Christ, that's what he did. Like, he's like, you want to follow me? Are you prepared to die? It's like, that's not too appealing. Like, you could work on your sales pitch, and yet he had a high bar. So I don't have the answer. I'm just wrestling like, okay.
I was thinking of that actually because I've got three, I think, conversations with people who reached out over the issue of baptism. One of them, hey, I'm Lutheran. I came, but anyway, and I just thought, what if we just decided, you know what? So many people have questions about baptism. Why don't we? They love the Lord. They just don't. Let's just not make this. Well, I wouldn't be having these incredible in-depth conversations and getting to the core of what do you actually believe and what are you really trusting in? You know what I mean? It's to your point, when we lower the bar, we allow people to feel like they've entered into a covenant, a relationship with Jesus, when maybe we've just let him slide in the back door.
I know, Mark, we've talked about this on a leadership level, that there was a quote somebody gave that really hit me. It's like, if as a leader, you know what the problem is and you don't address it, then you're now the problem. And that punched me in the gut.
Yeah.
Well, recently, applying that pastorally, if it's like, hey, if you know issues that need shepherding and you don't shepherd it, you're the problem. So the idea of like presenting everybody mature in Christ, is there an issue of like, that person has existed under your ministry for 15 years, and that's never been addressed. Nobody's ever had. Then I'm like, oh,
wow.
We either should have said something or kicked him out or did something. Like, we haven't even given them a chance to repent because those issues never been addressed. So I don't have, maybe that's a good podcast for a future. Let me read one.
Yeah.
So this is I'm just in the beginning. From Here to Maturity, Overcoming the Juvenilization of American Christianity. This is interesting too, because like we're both next generation churches. He says, by now, the assumption that youth is better than adulthood is widely accepted. This culture belief is visible whenever adults tell teenagers that this is the best time of your life, or when college students say, this is my time to have fun. Christian youth leaders have often contributed to the worship of youth by praising young people as model Christians and looking to them to save the world. And there's this, what the argument it is like, it used to be adulthood was a good thing you should aspire to, and church is for adults, and youth, you need to grow up into that. And now it's like, hey, to reach youth, we need to make church a youth thing, and adults, you need to just let the youth run it. Let the youth decide everything. And it's like, I don't think that's serving us well.
Wow.
In maturity. So I don't know. That's a lot.
Are there some practical ways that we've done that? Do you think, like, a thing I think about is running up, trying to get younger people into the pulpits quicker or planting churches quicker? Or is it that, or is there some other ways you see that practically, like Paul says, don't be hasty in the laying on of hands. Don't just,
I
too
think
quickly put people in, or is there other ways that you see?
I think if you read other of Tozer's books, he's pressing on this before this book came out, of just church's entertainment, the program. That's what he said, how do we keep attention? Like a lot of 90s youth ministry strategies are now church, just shorter services or fun things or shallower sermons or just the assessment of, did you like it?
Right.
Did you have fun at church? And it's like those kind of cultural things create a moment of like, oh, I'm supposed to always have fun at church, and it matters if I like it or not. Like it's built for me, rather than, no, I need to adult into faithfulness. And
so here's my little bit of pushback or just question is, then I think I hear you say that, and I'm like, I hear you saying we need to get back to church being boring. We need to get back to liturgy and saying creeds and get back to the way we used to do it. And when I go to Veritas Cedar Rapids, like I think people, your preaching is entertaining, but it's good. It's the word. It's powerful. It's not just, it's alive. The worship is vibrant and energetic, and like I can go to a service and like there's life there. It's alive. The Spirit of Jesus is there, and it's like is it entertaining? I mean, well, it's
I think that's the unfair dichotomy. It's like you either got to be shallow or you got to be boring. I'm like, I don't like either of those choices, nor do I think that's what the Bible calls us to.
I just
people fall in those ditches
when you start reading, and I feel like I don't know what the rest of that book is gonna say. Therefore, we need to ... But I worry that it's that's what it is. It becomes more.
Well, I do think we have to look at we have to assess ourselves and say, okay, we have 300 kids at youth group, and they love church. And they would say they have a lot of fun. And they graduated and they spent 8 years in our ministry. And they don't know anything. Now, are we saying it was great because they love church and they love youth group and they talk fondly about it? Is that the win? Could we present any of those mature in Christ? Would they fail a basic doctrinal test at 12th grade? So what does it mean to be successful?
I think I'm haunted by my pastor growing up, Bob Thune Sr. I was this 15 years ago. We were starting Veritas, and I'll never forget. He's like, the challenge for you and your church and your generation is, it just seems to be missing the education piece. Like we spent a lot of time with Sunday school, Sunday school, and educating on doctrine and memorizing Bible verses.
And I would say
sword drill, like learning where stuff was in the Bible.
Whatever methodology, learning glorious truths. They're not boring. So I don't think you have to let go of education to hold on to fun.
Yeah.
That's maybe a lie people have embraced.
Man, there's so much more we could talk about here. We are going to wrap up. We got to land this plane. We got to land this plane. So I'm going to let
Jeff. Or at least we're actually just going to stop. The plane is not landing.
So with that, Jeff, give us just some final words. Wrap this up for us.
Yeah. As I'm hearing that, I think we all have to understand that the pendulum is constantly swinging, right, in all walks of life, but even within church life. And so we're here at a certain moment where maybe the pendulum is swinging a certain way. And even your former pastors, we used to do Sunday school, now we've lost. And so now, okay, we got to swing it back toward educate. And so the hope that I have is Jesus said, I will build my church and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. So let's be circumspect. Let's read well and broadly and try to understand the times we're living in, but also take a little of the pressure off that we don't have to be the quintessential church, that the church has never been perfectly balanced in every way. You know, we've all come out of extremes. You know, the reason now that many evangelicals are flocking to even Eastern Orthodoxy is because all of a sudden they miss some of that, or what at least they've heard about of being this very hyper liturgical and everything else. Well, okay, stay there for a while. And my hunch is they'll come running back because there's, you know what I mean? I mean, Bonhoeffer himself became a believer where? In a Harlem African-American church that was just spiritually alive, and all of his theology kind of crumbled as he experienced. So I'm just saying, let's honor Jesus. Let's realize we're always going to be in a corrective mode. I love books like that, should challenge us, but let's not think, okay, if I just make these adjustments, pull these levers, then we'll be back to being the quintessential church. It's like, well, seek to honor Jesus, be led by him, and just know we're never going to hit the North Star perfectly. You know what I mean?
It's kind of like, don't let idealism crush the reality.
And just faithfulness. Like, don't give up, and totally.
And don't let a fear of idealism crush a pursuit of excellence.
Totally.
Yep. It's a great average pastor word of encouragement. Keep going.
That's all we got.
We live to fight another day, Jeff.
Yes.
Well, we hope that as you've listened, you've found something encouraging. Maybe pick up a book. January 1st is coming for me, and so I've got a book list. Thanks for that, guys, and excited to get back. So have a great week. We will see you next year in 2026. Can't wait for our surprise guest is coming. So let's do this. We'll see you guys next time.